Welcome to Oh My Word Season 4, Episode 10. Tonight we have Reading Room. We're going to have the amazing Lady Gray that's going to come on as our guest feature for tonight. Just going to wait for others to come in so we can get this show on the road.
There's a book here by the Reese brothers called Ascended Dark Beginnings. Chapter 7 is called Symptoms. With Ryan's birthday just a few weeks away, the boys initiated a well-orchestrated plan to wear down their parents with pleas for a party. Normally, a birthday party would have been out of the question as it meant expensive unaccounted for in the slaves' very tight monthly budget. But with Michael's recent good fortune, not only surviving that horrific car accident but surviving unharmed, James and Michelle felt almost compelled to celebrate and decided to dip into their meager savings to give the boys their grand party. Budget be damned, James declared jokingly. And so Ryan's birthday rolled around. The modest Slade bungalow had been transformed into a whimsical fortress of fun, decorated with colorful balloons, bright banners, and cheerful streamers, and packed to the gills with lively, jovial guests, most of which were the friends of the boys or Michelle's girlfriend's kids. James had invited no one to the shindig, which was typical of his introverted, brooding persona, which is why Michelle found it all the more surprising when one man she had never met before showed up at their door with a little girl at his side. James almost seemed as surprised to see the man as she did. He was dressed a little conservatively for a children's party, in his pristinely ironed white-collared shirt and pleated khaki pants. He had intelligent eyes behind a pair of rimless spectacles, his hair neat and close. The little girl was around Ty's age, cute with her afro puffs and shy as little girls tend to be, especially in a house full of rowdy little boys. This is a friend from my old army days, James stammered as he introduced the man to his wife. Michelle shook the man's hand and he smiled graciously. She welcomed the pair inside, and the man urged his daughter to go mingle while he and James went off speaking in a more private setting. Meanwhile, the party was in full swing. Around 20 frenzied children were dashing about in the backyard, laughing and shouting while the adults remained inside, socializing in the cool of the AC, eating food and drinking wine and beer. Tai shared much of his father's introverted personality. He shunned the company of others, preferring to gather his toy soldiers and toy cars and isolate himself in the den where he could fully engage his imagination without the bother of having to share. As he sat behind the couch, swerving about his trans arm on the hardwood floor, he heard the suck of the den's door open and accompanying cacophony of the party noise. He then heard the noise fall away as the door closed. His father was speaking in a passive tone as two pairs of footfalls crossed the room. I really appreciate you coming out, Doc, his father said, but I must say I am a little surprised to see you here. You left me a message, the man said. Yeah, but that was months ago. I'm sorry I didn't get back to you any sooner, but things have been rather hectic for me lately, the man said. You sounded quite anxious in your message. Anxious is an understatement, his father said. I was wondering, Doc, have you heard from any of the dirt dogs? The man shook his head. We didn't exactly part on the best of terms, James, he said. Hell, I doubt they'd contact me if they were on fire and I was the only one in the room who had a bucket of water. James nodded. What about the general? The man chuckled uncomfortably and looked away. I'm afraid not. After funding for the project, after funding for the project was pulled, the general and I parted ways too. I hear he's retired now, living out his days in one of his massive estates, I imagine. James said nothing. What's this all about? The man asked. Want a cocktail, Doc? Bourbon? Brandy? You know I'm not much of a drinker. Bourbon it is, James said. Ty heard blocks of ice clanking into empty glasses and then the gurgle of bourbon pouring on top. His father said, It's my boys, Doc. There's something wrong with them. Something very different. Ty clamped his mouth with his hands to prevent his gas from escaping. Different how? The man asked. Well, take my middle son, Ryan. You should see the way he moves, Doc. I mean, he's lightning quick and agile as a cat. You were quite the athlete just a few years back. Not like that. I've never seen anyone move like that. You happen to notice that tree in the backyard, the big oak? That tree is what, 40, 50 feet tall? I stood at my kitchen window and spied Ryan scaling that tree all the way to the top in a matter of seconds. Kids can climb better than most adults, the man said. Yeah, well, I'll be damned North Shore adult could get down the way he does, James chuckled. Almost caught a heart attack the first time I saw him do it. Jumped all the way from the top and landed before as much of a sprain. What about your other kids? The man asked. Have they been exhibited any symptoms? James asked, cutting him off. I've noticed things in the last couple of months. Incredible thing, Doc. At first it chalked up to good genes and good health that you're probably doing right now, but I am convinced that it's far more than that.
All right. No, I'm going to read a short excerpt, very, very short, before bringing on the featured guest for tonight. This is from the book of the same author that we have coming on. It's called 2 Sevens, and it goes like this. It's another beautiful morning here in Blaze HD 98.3 FM country, and you are sharing it with myself, the unforgettable Lady Candle, along with my ace of spades DJ Cutlass at the top of the hour. We're right into the mid-morning with audio provisions brought to you by Vital for the best item. Before we change gears, we have one more giveaway to make this morning. A pair of VIP tickets to the upcoming Heroes Day show with headliners Sizzler, Chronix, and for the first time in Barbados, Legends of Reggae, Culture, Cando Teased. Cutlass, is this real? Lady Candle asked animatedly as she turned in the direction of the radio DJ. Yes, milady, he flirted. Reggae royalty will be in the land next Saturday. Cutlass's reply came with a slight inflection of a Guyanese accent that caused his words to dance into the microphone. Show promoter Ras Entertainment, the Revolutionary Action Syndicate, is calling this the godfather of shows. Cutlass went on hyping the event. Picture it, one night, one massive stage, 3 generations of reggae music's most heretical artists. To top it off, Culture is currently celebrating the 40th anniversary of their iconic release of the 2 Sevens Clash album, The Morning DJ Explained. Now, welcome everyone to tonight's show. This is Reading Room, Season 4, Episode 10. Tonight we have the amazing, the beautiful Lady Gray, Rachelle J. Gray. I am going to ask her now to join us on stage. I know there was something I had to do on my off day. I had to go and get a dashiki specifically for this night. I'm sorry that I was unable to do that. I'm terribly sorry, but it is a pleasure to have you. How are you doing tonight?
I am good. Thank you. Thank you. So can you hear me? Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you perfectly.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, thank you. This was such a surprise when you reached out. I was like, oh, okay. Well, this is cool. The reading room. Oh, my word. So thank you and good night to everyone.
You're most welcome. Now, first of all, everything is a blessing in disguise. 1. 2, and more importantly, I have to let the people know I'm going to share our little secret. Now, tonight, guys, we are currently at 8:20 in the night. But for some people, for one person in particular, it's currently 12:21, is it? In the morning?
It's 12. Yes.
Yes, so she has put herself in all good graces for tonight. She has ably and willingly offered to stay up and to make sure that she's a part of this show tonight. So we welcome her. I'm going to get right into the bio, and then we're going to start things off, okay? Now, Lady Gray to everyone here, but affectionately, born and raised as Rachelle J. Gray, is a communications specialist, creative consultant, and writer. A graduate of the SUNY-Buffalo State College and the Alexandra School. So big ups to every Alexandra School student here tonight, and those abroad that will be listening in. She was a photojournalist before establishing GrayWorks Media, a Caribbean-based multimedia agency. She founded iQueen, a cultural festival that promoted Afro-Caribbean women in the arts, education, and entertainment. An accomplished photographer, her work has shown at MoCADA and Queen's Park Gallery. Now, guys, if you don't know, you must know these are some big, important events. MoCADA and Queen's Park Gallery, those are huge. Now, in 2020, Gray founded LadyGray Publishing, a creative outlet manifesting social change through independent literature. She has written for Island Origins, Island Life magazine, and is the former editor-in-chief of Bimrock magazine. A mother of one and an auntie to many, living and working between the USA, Barbados, and Senegal. Kingstown Burning is her debut novel. No.
Sounds
That is very short, yet it's very loaded, all at the same time. So before we get a little bit into the bio, can you tell us 3 things that was not in the bio that you would like to share with us tonight?
Oh, wow. Wow, okay, you definitely put me on the spot. 3 things. What are my 3 things? That I love wax fabric, African wax fabric. I love to travel, and I had a donut tonight that tasted like a turnover, and it reminded me of Barbados.
Whoa, that's...
It did. It did.
Oh, wow. Now, to those that love turnovers, I'm guessing that's a very good thing. But then at the same time, I don't know, it's really not supposed to taste like a turnover.
No, it's a thing called, it's like a donut, and they put coconut flakes on it. But I guess tonight they put like something extra, and the mixture tasted like if it was, like if they put the coconut that you would put inside the turnover on the outside. So when I bit into it, I was transported to Barbados. I was like, why are these people so cruel though? Because I don't, it's like you tasting home unexpectedly. So
Yes, I think that that's exactly what they were aiming to do.
Yes,
I think that that's what they're aiming to do.
Yeah, so those are 3 things.
Well, those are quite amazing 3 things, actually, if I must say so myself. Now,
Cool.
looking into your bio, you have transformed yourself into a very hardworking individual, very dedicated, and clearly very disciplined at that. Can you tell us a bit about, let's start first with the LadyGray Publishing. How were you able to get into that and put yourself in that system, so to speak?
Publishing. Well, as my bio says, I started off as a photojournalist, which means I was writing and doing photography at the same time. I'm in communications. I've written for other publications and former editor-in-chief of BIMROC. So I have a publishing background. When I think about it, I do have a publishing background. So when it came time to publish my book, Kingstown Burning, instead of doing the traditional route, which was to send out letters, look for an agent, hope that a traditional publisher would see my work and fall in love with me and publish me, I decided that I would do it myself, and not just self-publish, but to establish an organization, a business, that would allow me to publish under, because this is not going to be my only book, and I don't only want to publish my work as, I want to publish other writers' work as well. So yeah.
No, that's amazing.
How I got to doing that.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And guys, you must check out Kingstown Burning. We're going to get a little bit more into that, but before I do continue, I must say that when I was looking at the makeup of the book, I saw it, I was like, it's absolutely professional, very well done. honestly.
Thank you.
The
Thank
artwork
you.
is amazing. The title, we're
Thank
going to get a bit into that because Kingstown Burning. What would have created or put your mind to say, well, hey, I know I have this novel. This is going to be the title of it.
Well, okay. So when I'm writing, there are two things that happen. There's what I'm writing, and then there's what's going to end up published, right? So when this book first hit me, it didn't have such an attractive name. It was simply called Bamboo Valley. And I was like, okay, Rachelle, don't worry about the name. Write the book, leave the name as it is on the Word document, and when you're ready, you'll come back and you'll change the title when you're
Yeah.
finished. So it was Bamboo Valley, which I knew was not going to do any. I mean, like, I wouldn't read Bamboo Valley. I'm sorry, I wouldn't. So I was like, we know we're definitely not publishing something called Bamboo Valley. But by the time I had finished the book, and because, you know, different people have different writing processes. Some people, they have this whole procedure where they outline the book and they know everything that's happening and then they sit and write. I'm not structured like that. So when I was finished the book and I finally knew what the story was, then I was like, yeah, Kingstown Burning. For a lot of reasons, good, legitimate reasons. First of all, the protagonist, Judah, he's of Vincentian descent. Kingstown is a play on words. A lot of people never think about the fact that it's Kingstown, St. Vincent. They just run the Kingstown. They're like, but Jamaica.
At first, I was like Kingston or Kingston. When I saw Kingston, St. Vincent. I got you.
And then, right, and then as Caribbean people from like the Lesser Antilles, we understand what Kingstown represents for us within the context of ganja. Whereas, you know, Kingstown, St. Vincent is the equivalent for us in the Eastern Caribbean of what Kingston, Jamaica is for the whole Caribbean when it comes to thinking about it in that way.
Yeah.
And then the burning, oh gosh, the burning. Just, this man, Judah, has so much fire in him, and there's just so much, you know, it's the things, either it could be the rites of passage, you know, the fire, the passion, the love, the action, all the burning. So yeah, Kingstown Burning felt right. And the day that it did hit me, I was like, yeah, that's the name of the book. And I didn't look back. I'm like, that's what it's going to be called, Kingstown Burning.
You know, I must admit, I am with Larry on this one. I think Bamboo Valley is actually a dope name as well. But the way that you have described and put together and implemented the thought process for Kingstown Burning and using Judah, the protagonist, to speak specifically to the title of the book is actually truly amazing. So thank you for sharing that. And without further ado, I'm going to let you get into an excerpt or two or three so that the audience can get interacted and acclaimed to the book.
Oh my goodness. Well, before I even do that, I want to say, when you started with the 2 sevens, I said, wow, this man brave though, because that chapter is a hard chapter to read if you are not. It
really was. I was like, oh, okay, cool. It was.
I was like, oh, he bites off the big part. So since you started with 2 sevens, do you think I should continue with 2 sevens? Do you think I should read something else? It's up to you. You tell me.
Oh, you can read a little bit more of 2 sevens before getting into another one.
Oh, okay. Actually, I'm going to get into the chapter that comes after 2 sevens. It's a favorite chapter of mine.
All right.
It's called The Penthouse. Yeah?
Yes.
Now, the penthouse is an interesting one. So here we go. Marty hadn't left Duty's side for a moment. Do you want me to set this up before I read it? Or you want me to just read it straight?
Oh, you can set it up. You can set it up. Tease the audience a bit and then, yeah. Okay,
cool. So Marty is one of our leading ladies, Marty Cadogan. She's a socialite media personality. She's everything that you would imagine one to be. And She works for, like, as you had started, she works for a radio station called Blaze HD. And she also has a gallery, an art gallery, which is located in the condo that her father owns. And it's in a place called Warrenstown. So, so where we are right now, as far as the penthouse, is that this is the night of when she has an exhibition happening, and there's this really important artist called, his name is Duty, and he has an exhibition that is going to showcase at her gallery. Her gallery is called the Rubin Gallery. So we're here now at the exhibition opening, and this is Marley, the social media personality with Duty, the acclaimed artist. So here we go, the penthouse. Marley hadn't left Duty's side for a moment, guided him through the maze of awe-filled faces cocked at varying degrees of interest. Duty Bookman, the man of the evening, passionately answered questions, giving insight into the sea of mysteries that gripped the audience. The press lapped up the juiciness attributed to Marley's association with the artist, widely rumored to be a practicing Obeah man. The quirky nature of Marley's exhibitions always carried a strange appeal, which was heightened by her status as a socialite media personality. That aside, her success in bridging the gap between the artistic realm and popular culture was undisputed. A few months earlier, Marley backed an exhibition of dub posters curated by Zenobia, who had approached her with the idea. It seemed basic, showcasing a selection of street promotion posters from dub sessions of the past decade, which were pulled from the archives of three of the island's most prolific counterculture graphic artists. Unexpectedly, the launch turned into an impromptu dub session itself. The opening night, however, wasn't at Marley's space, the Rubin Gallery in Cadogan Towers, nor its sister gallery at the nearby UWI campus, where complementing installations of the exhibition hung. This toss, the opening, was held at a venue that years prior had housed the legendary Penthouse nightclub, a former mecca for dub sessions at the height of its story. It only stood to reason that Marley would repurpose the iconic spot into a pop-up gallery as a shrine to the essence of dub culture. Long retired from his partying days, the Penthouse was like a polished gem stashed away in a forgotten jewelry box. The second floor walk-up, with its clean walls and refurbished hardwood floors, was loft-like in appearance. Climbing the narrow stairway, a few steps through the threshold revealed the spaciousness of the building. The bar area and the dance floor looked game to try a little something. Across from them, a pair of doors opened onto the lone balcony and sole alternative exit out of the club. There was no fire escape, just faith that one would be all right if something were to ever go wrong. The view from the Penthouse was rich. The street below bustled with the hustle of city life flowing through it. Vendors and pedestrians ruled two sizable public markets at either end of the area. A cluster of rum shops was precariously situated like a roundabout, standing in the middle of the intersection where three arteries of roads converged. Everything poured into and circulated around the drink and food vendors that traded from these stalls, bordered by taximen leaning against their parked vehicles, passing the time by playing dominoes. There was Marhill Street in the east, populated with fast food restaurants and horse racing betting circuits. There was also a narrow side road that led from Broad Street in the west, winding its way past a large commercial bank, then wrapping around the parking garage that sat diagonally across from the Parliament building, all linked up with the northbound road that curved eastward to Roebuck Street, bypassing the police headquarters. A stretch of roadside clothing boutiques flashed the latest in urban wear outside their storefronts, which carried elaborate setups of draped clothing swinging in the open air with the hope of enticing passers-by. From the balcony of the Penthouse, one could see it all. The bar was on crank. The exhibition opening was presided over a popular dub music selector who incorporated the event into his weekly online live broadcast show. Everyone came out that night, gathered on the sidewalk well ahead of the start time. Pools of guests began to form. What brought the people out in numbers was anyone's guess. The energy governing the exhibition itself was a weird concoction of high society, ghetto culture, and artsy-fartsy vibes. No one knew what to expect. Marley had secured a loud music permit to facilitate the music element of the opening, but she hadn't foreseen a need to request permission for temporary road closure for the stretch in front of the club. It just wasn't that deep. The numbers who came out, though, exceeded the 100 or so invitees who were expected to trickle in at various intervals of the night. Soon enough, the road below was clogged with bodies. The lone entrance in and out of the penthouse made the ushers work overtime to man the gallery traffic. Below, those waiting to view the exhibition lined and partied along the curb as the music wafted outdoors from the powerful house speaker system. If you've ever been to the penthouse in its heyday, reggae dance hall dub rhythms weren't the only thing that wafted out from the balcony above. In the nostalgia of the moment, hidden in the thick of things, someone, somewhere sparked up. When the natural mystic mingled in with the night's proceedings, it was quietly acknowledged that the opening had taken on the spirit of dub sessions past. On the balcony of the penthouse, an oversized banner designed in dub poster styles draped from the building, announcing the exhibition. The call-in programs were in a tizzy the next day when it was reported that the artwork was quite obscene, with poster vixens posing in less than desirable positions under a saucy headline. Nothing new. It was a discussion that was brewing from the first time the banner was mounted just days earlier. Marley was accused of being able to get away with whatever she wanted in this fair land because of connections. A few callers commented with disdain on how people were in the street smoking herb just a few feet away from police headquarters. Old rhetoric about guns and violence, obscenity and noise pollution flowed in between mentions of young persons' blatant disregard for the citizens of Barbados. There was lamentations on how a street was closed down in the middle of town on a Wednesday night to accommodate foolishness. The few conversations about the art stripped the exhibition of its cultural relevance until Marley called into the program herself in an attempt to refocus the discussions. On social media, some artists were blind that Marley carried things too far and needed to realize that ruffling feathers was not good for other artists' livelihoods. She should try to operate with more care as her actions negatively impacted other artists devoid of a silver spoon. The streets, of course, shrugged at the spectacle of a dub poster being elevated to the status of some kind of art. Money people don't have nothing more to do than this sort of thing. Or responses like, but wait, that's Mass Feature's picture on that poster across there, end up being talking points for the everyday person. All talk aside, the session, or was it an opening, did what Marley quietly knew it would do: incite dialogue, sell art, and make life spicy. Marley magnified Judy's shine. Theirs was a latent closeness that danced in its own tune, in its own space, without stepping into the realm of the real world. As an artist plying his trade of employing art as a medium of abstract recital of the lore of mystic men of Obeah, Duty wore the raiment well. A visual mystery, the topography of his face, illuminated by the presence of an ancient wisdom, suspended in a youthful energy, was spellbinding. Duty had long studied the science of Obeah, its practices and its criminality. Lived it too. He had met Marley by chance at Miami International Airport while in transit to Barbados. Immediately recognizing him in the waiting area, she had gone over and introduced herself to the much talked about high priest. He was iconic, with a rock star status seldom associated with one so grounded. A flight delay extended the introductory exchange into a full conversation. It took 2 years for it to all come together, and in that time, Duty the artist became Duty the friend. Now he was here, touring his exhibition and coffee table book through the Caribbean, with next steps taking him to Nairobi, Kenya. Spirits and wine glasses intoxicated guests, while DJ Cutlass bewitched the patrons musically. The exhibition set out to align current reality with ancient mysteries of yesteryear that lurked in the curious corners of modern-day imaginings. The mandate of the Rubin Gallery was simple: reshape what was accepted as art on the home front. Marley had long grown tired of the bondage perpetuated by chattel house and donkey cart imagery as representative of a people who at heart were void of romantic sentiments being touted as heritage. The limitations of that conversation denied visual artists the leverage to be boundless in their expression, unshackled from imperialist dictates on identity and message. In your element, Marty looked up at the sound of her father's deep voice reaching out towards her upon his reproach. A blogger had just snatched duty away from her for an interview. Cadogan, she smiled at him. I heard you came peeping about this place earlier. What have I told you about doing that? Marty teased, leaning into her father's embrace. Well, your mother asked me to send her some photos before things get too busy, so I obliged, Mr. Cadogan responded, used to his reoccurring role as a peacemaker. I don't know why she bothers, Marty retorted, the sunniness temporarily leaving her face. Mrs. Cadogan was a free spirit, with little time for anything other than what interested her. She lived life passionately, loving everything, being present for everyone, but somehow remaining absent in Marty's story. Marty, Mr. Cadogan pleaded quietly, acutely aware of the crowd, the cameras, the need for his daughter to shine on her night. Don't be that way. Have you met the artist Duty Bookman? Marty served, redirecting the conversation as she scanned the room for his light while she rekindled hers. Should I meet him, Mr. Cadogan teased? I'm not sure how I would feel about all this mystic mumbo-jumbo you have going on here, or if I want to meet this so-called high priest artist. Here is something that that would interest you. Have you seen the number of red dots next to Mr. Mystic Mumbo-Jumbo's work? Marty challenged. It's hard not to notice them. They're quite plentiful, her father admitted. I'll take it then that congratulations are in order for another successful opening. If you insist, just don't let it be said that I coerced it out of you, Marty teased as she interlocked her arms with Mr. Cadogan's and directed him across the room to the place where Duty stood. The penthouse.
Now, there are a few things that stood out there.
Oh, God.
One, as RhyMinister would have talked about, the part where you say, or rhetoric, that part, that line, Jesus, I want to make sure I get it, or rhetoric about guns and violence. That part, that was gripping. The mapping itself, precisely in Bridgetown, that was exceptional. But more importantly, is the storytelling, more than anything else. And the way you were able to have a visual placed in the reader's mind about this penthouse experience. To be honest,
Have you ever been to the penthouse?
I honestly don't think I have. I would be lying if I said I have. Honestly speaking.
Oh, okay. Well, probably by the time the penthouse is no longer there, but it still is there, but it's no longer operational. But if you've ever been to the penthouse, it was an experience.
I'm sure it was.
I'm giving you homework. You might want to check and be like, do I know anyone who's been to the penthouse? I want to find out about this penthouse because the penthouse, that was an era.
No, I'm sure it was. And for me, you're talking about Bridgetown. This particular chapter spoke about Barbados and the same penthouse and what it was like back then, the long lines, having to wait, the fact that it was where everyone wanted and needed to be at that point in time as well too. What would have been the reason for putting together this particular chapter specifically?
This particular chapter specifically is an intersection.
Right.
I would say it's an intersection of a number of things. It's an intersection of, we have Marty, who is this entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
As I said before, she's a media personality. She's an entrepreneur. She has a gallery. She's into the arts. And then also, one of the reasons also that I wrote Kingstown Burning is because I have so many ideas in my head. And I feel like sometimes there's not enough life for me to get these ideas out. So I was like, one day it really hit me hard. I was like, Rachelle, all these good ideas that you have, just pack them in that badass book. Sorry. I just kind of
No,
like
no,
talking
it's the
myself.
truth. It's the truth.
So I was like, just pack them in the book. So like, one of the things that I love is that dub posters are awesome works of art, and they chronicle our history, a certain history. Like I remember dub posters were black and white, and the announcements and the names and the venues and who's. If you were to put together dub posters from the past however many years, say 3 decades, you have a history. You have a history of a very significant part of Barbadian culture that goes unrecognized by mainstream,
Right.
but actually is one of the most tastiest, one of the most exciting aspects of Barbadian culture, hands down, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
So I've always said, why doesn't someone do a dub poster exhibition? Like, this is such a dope idea. And they're like these really, there was a point where I used to actually design dub posters. I enjoy it. There's a freedom that comes to it. There's a guy down in the Bayline. He's a boss at these posters. And just even just like how they have evolved over the years in style and dress. And there's just so much there of our culture, but we ignore it.
Right.
And so I wanted to get that in there. This chapter is about dub posters. It's about how we know. It's about how we view it, because the ordinary person doesn't see a dub poster the way that I, as an artist or creative, might see it. They might just say like that. They just want to know who it is, if they're going, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, artists or exhibition people might not even think of like a dub poster as something as a relevant piece of art. And I wanted to bring that to the forefront. I also wanted to bring to the forefront how when you call into a call-in program, a lot of the essence of what you're calling in about can get lost. And it's just a bunch of talk, and it's the same old rhetoric over and over again. I mean, I personally look at call-in programs as, I'm not going to say it, but I'm not going to say it.
This is an open show, by all means.
I mean, but it's really and truly, I mean, having lived long enough, they're like masturbation sessions, you just jack off, you call, you jack off, you say what's on your mind, but nothing really gets done. And that's the long and short of the reality of what they are in our fair island. So I wanted to bring that up because it's the same rhetoric. And the fact that when you hear the story, you can say, yeah, that's really what they say when you listen to a call-in program. Like after all these decades, we have the same script for a call-in program. And one of the most important aspects of that script is, ma'am, can you turn on your radio? Do you have your radio on? I mean,
yes. Every single time, everything.
So it's like call-in programs have a script of their own. But yeah, at the intersection of that, the importance of the art, I wanted to pay tribute to the Penthouse within that context.
Right.
And I also wanted to show that just because, see, Marty runs fluidly between a lot of different worlds that normally don't connect in Barbados. And there are people who sit at those connection points that are like Marty, who would say, yo, let me do this thing in the Penthouse while I have something at UE and I have something also at my upscale gallery. So it's the marriage of the three of those. It's the marriage of the ghetto, the education, and the bouge all together in unison. So that's really, if I look into it, how I feel about the Penthouse.
No, that is amazing. There are a couple of things. I have a question from Larry, so I'm going to get into, but I truly believe that the dub poster gallery, you should meet someone or put it together, find a way to do this dub poster gallery. Honestly, it will be sold out.
I think it would be an interesting exhibition. It'll be hella dope. And maybe Lawrence can tell me how, because she's a great graphic artist, but I think it's a work. It's not even just the exhibition. I would love to do like a book, a coffee table book, a tome, and just to interview the people, interview like key people, key designers, highlight their like really get into this. Like this is a project because, you know, we're so, and when I say we're so caught up with, you know, we're caught up with so many things that we shouldn't be caught up with, and the thing that really is the heartbeat of our culture, we act like we don't know it. Yeah.
No, that is very true. What I will say, I'm going to speak it into being. So you work with lyrics, you get that together, make sure to have it at the penthouse. It's guaranteed. Have to have it at the penthouse, okay?
Gotta see if they will open it and let me lease it for that month or two that we do the exhibition.
Correct.
We'll see what happens.
Correct.
Hey,
no.
Bring life back to the penthouse.
Correct. Exactly. No. Now on to Laris's question. Having read books like this, The Pearl for School, I wonder about material for our own writers. Do you think this could be a book used for English lit in secondary school? I feel that could be dope.
Oh,
and
wow.
I would say yes. I would say yes.
I'd say yes too. Oh, actually, I say a big yes. I say yes because when I wrote this book, my son was 12, 13 years old, yeah? And he was one of the people, I mean, he's probably tired of reading. He must have read it like 4 times already. But I wrote it in such a way that even though it's not a children's book, he can read it, and he has read it. And I said to myself, one of the things that is missing in our culture is a book like this, where curious youth can read and find out things that are real world, but told in a way that, you know, wouldn't be too startling, because there's nothing that I could write that could be more violent than the news. So I was like, let me do this. So yes, I would love to see Kingstown Burning on the curriculum in schools, being discussed, being picked down by the children and the parent and everybody. And yeah. You know, I follow a good few bookstagrammers, and a lot of times they talk about the books that they read when they did lit. I avoided lit when I was in school. I did. I didn't want to do English lit. I avoided it. I preferred English line. I liked writing stories rather than reading stories. So I avoided English lit. But one of the things that I would say is that when I follow the bookstagrammers that I do see on Instagram, they're always referencing the books that they did read as children that were Caribbean books. I also have my former English teacher, Leslie Lett. He's amazing, from Alexandra. If you see him on Facebook, he's always talking about, you know, he always makes reference to like books that were lit books. But I think one of the things that I would say is, it's not even about how many books are Caribbean. It's about how are we ushering fresh narratives into these? Are we cycling it? You know, are we saying yes along next to our classic writers? Here are the new voices. Are we open to that? That's the thing that I would say. So it's not even about how many are Caribbean, but how are we introducing new voices into our Caribbean narrative?
How has it been like being in Senegal?
Well, it is winter now, so it's cold. That's a fun fact, if you wanted a number 4 fun fact. People think of, because I'm near the Sahara, but I'm not exactly in the Sahara. We're very near the Sahara. Like, there's so much sand here, it's not even funny. And one of the things that I would not expect, or did not expect when I moved here, was that there was such a thing as winter. So it's not like European, North American winter. It's like the temperature goes down to like 17 degrees, 16 degrees Celsius at night. And then in the daytime, it bumps up to 80. So in the daytime, it'll be like 70 something, maybe 70, let me not do Celsius and go to Fahrenheit. So from Celsius, so degrees Celsius, and then in the daytime, we'll go to like 23 degrees Celsius, 24, yeah? And I didn't expect that. So I'm cold. I have on socks and leggings and a whole bunch of clothes just to be warm. And I wear a bubble jacket in the evening. Yeah. So it's gonna be like this until probably mid-April, and then it'll get hot. And fun fact number 5, if you wanted it, is that it doesn't rain for months. So rainy season will come in, I think like like July, August, and it will rain until about September. And then I haven't seen rain since October last year. It hasn't rained here since October.
Rain isn't going to come until about June, July. And
Right,
then it
until
will
September.
rain till about September, October the latest, and then you're not going to see water again until June, July the next year. So I haven't seen rain since October last year.
I am going to have to do, I am so glad I'm off tomorrow. I'm going to rest, but I'm also going to look into that because that is, for me, very crazy. So there are a lot of plants. This is just as relates to like the whole thing. There are a lot of plants and stuff. They still get watered.
Because the water is underneath. The water is underground. So there's water. There's water. And there's a lot of rivers. There's the Casamance River, there's the Gambia River, there's the Senegal. Yeah, there are lots. I mean, like humongousaurus rivers. So yeah, there's a lot of water.
And the sun. So during the daytime, the sun is very hot.
During the daytime, what it feels like now is like it's like spring in New York. That's what the temperature. That's what winter is like. Winter is like it's spring in New York City. Spring in. Like that's what it's like. You know how you leave home and you can risk at wearing like a t-shirt, but by the time the sun sets, you're like, oh snap. That's what it's like. That's what winter here is like. So I wear my.
No, sorry, I'm just laughing at sounds like pre-Noah times. I am loving lyrics tonight. I'm absolutely loving lyrics tonight. The earth and the people are nourished by springs and rivers. No, it is very, very true. It's very, very true. So thank you for these little nuggets. I know we're supposed to be talking about, you know, an author, talking about your book and everything like that, but it's also good to get a little insight into what's going on around the world. I'm thanking everyone for being here. Thank you for the new audience that we have coming in. Those like Queen C, Kini_.so. Thank you for everyone that's here tonight. You guys are seeing and witnessing LadyGray, who is a phenomenal storyteller. Her voice, oh geez. We had people in the audience talking about an audiobook while you were giving your excerpt, and I agree with them 100%.
So should I read it? Because that's my question. Right, I do want to do an audiobook, but I'm like, should I read my audiobook? What are some of the audience's audiobook suggestions? Am I allowed to ask that? Because I'm curious. What do people want to hear?
Of course, you can ask your questions. This is a free for all. I am agreeing with lyrics. An audiobook, please. You yourself have to read it for sure.
I should read it. Okay.
Yeah. You know, it's like one of those perfect voices that you hear on the radio. One of those perfect voices that you hear coming across your airwaves. This is no joke. So, welcome to the Nigerian that just stepped in. All right, we have a Nigerian in here as well. Okay. I love when the writer has a voice that can read their own material. Yes, she does. I'm still working on mine. Actually, I'm still working on. I might have to get you to do my voiceovers for my pieces. I might have to get you to do that.
No.
I'm gonna say my material.
Oh, you can do it.
No, seriously, I've been told that I could do it, but you do it effortlessly. I'm telling you right now, me in the back, I would just like 50 million times. Okay, I don't like how that sounds. Let me go again. Should I raise my octave or bring it down? More bass, lessen it. This is me. I'm serious. I'm a perfectionist. But you have that gift, and seriously, you have to make sure to get that out there, right? Because the world needs to hear it. And because these stories are they're of course true. They're of course true, but they draw you back to past times. The same penthouse. You talk about 2 sevens. You talk about the artist inside of it. You talk about the protagonist Judah. very quickly because we went over time, but of course we don't.
Oh,
I personally don't care that we go over time. I know
I'm
that you're
having
probably
fun
very
with you.
tired.
I'm good. I mean, I'm
You're
here.
good.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm
You're
here
good.
for you. So, we're here.
You had your coffee before.
Yes, I did. And my
Fantastic.
donut. And my donut with that tasted
Ah, you're
like a kind of. So I'm good.
fantastic, fantastic. So we're going to get into another excerpt at this time.
Oh my goodness. I will do a short one for you.
All right.
This is another one of my favorite chapters. Chapter 6. Do you want me to set it up? I'll set it up.
Yeah. You know I like it. You know I like it like that.
I reckon like that. Okay, so chapter 6 is really, really short. And it's called Cha. Cha. It's like cha. So we have a situation where Marley found herself at, well, actually, yeah, I'm going to read chapter 6. Marley found herself at the home of Lee Mile. I'm not going to say who Lee Mile is, but what I'm going to say is that there's something between the two of them. I'm not sure what it is, even though I'm the writer. I don't know yet. So
I love
this
that.
so this is what happens when she set out to do. You ever leave home and you say, okay, I'm going point A, but then you end up at point B when you really should be at point C. Yeah, and you're like, cha. So here we go. All right, here it is. It's only 2 pages long. 2 glasses in, it dawned on Marley that she hadn't left home to be with Lee Mile. He had that way about him, one which hijacked her attention, making her forget to remember. But not this time. Lee Mile was still close by, but the music was beginning to have its effect on him. Pulling out her phone, Marley's heart sank at the sudden realization that she was in a dead zone. The night was still fresh, but it was night. Her people were waiting and she was late. Looking over at Lee Mile, Marley mused at his strong, defined arms affixed to his statuesque frame, which was borne up by long, slightly bowed legs. His clean skin glowed under a thin layer of herb-infused shea butter, accented with a hint of cuss oil, which he had extracted from the root of the cuscus grass. Lee Mile smelled as good as he looked, and he never looked bad a day in his life. Marty knew that if she didn't leave now, her weekend would be ruined, hours discarded in passionate discourse. She was not in that place mentally or otherwise. Her thoughts reached him. Since she was ready to leave, he approached her. Marty smiled that way she did before disarming a situation, but there was no need for it here. He had already felt the shift in her energy. It was now a matter of her physically going. Are you ready? Lee Mile asked, taking in the fullness of her countenance. Yes. Let me walk you to your truck, he offered. Give thanks. They slid outside, walking in silence. Lee Mile was respectfully close behind, observing her gait. The yard light from his house cast their shadows ahead of them. The night was nippy. The St. Andrew East Coast breeze was slightly colder than equatorial Chile. Its bite caused Marley to shiver in the spaghetti-strapped, shin-long maxi dress she had donned in response to the roaring sun from earlier. Now that the temperature had fallen, she felt exposed to the elements as the wind slightly slipped under her outfit. I'm never far away, Lee Mile affirmed when they finally reached her vehicle. It was the best he could offer at that moment. I know, Marley said, smiling back into his shadowed face. He leaned into her, placing a kiss on her bare right shoulder. Within minutes, she was gone. Cha.
This woman had to be some kind of a woman, boy. I tell you.
Why you say that?
No, the way that for me, it has sounded like he was pursuing her. That's what I gathered. I to me personally, I don't know about anybody else. I just feel like Marty sometimes pursuing people. That's just me. But I love my boy Kevon. Big up, so my boy Kevon in this face. My mom said, "Whoa." My mom said, "Whoa, cha." I learned my cha be. That's exactly it. Like I say cha to myself all the time. Like I get no play, but no,
No, don't say that. Don't say that.
that's a very nice love story, and I like because from what I've read and from hearing you, I like how sometimes you tie a poetic element to it. Like this one had this whole poetic feel to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, again with the storytelling, like I transfixed is the word that I want to use. Because no, seriously, this is how I believe that Larry is thinking in her head, RhyMinister is thinking in his head. My boy Kevon, very suitable title for. I agree with that. Very suitable title for the chapter.
Thank you. Thank you.
I feel like on a night, right, a very
Mm-hmm.
cold winter night, you know, with the socks up, you have on the long pants and everything like that. You land down and you're playing your book, your audio book, and you're listening to
Ooh.
these chapters, right? Yeah, is it or you might not be laying down. You know, it depends
Mm.
on where you are. It depends on the country that you are. You have your mug. You know, you have your coffee, your little tea, or whatever the case may be. Might be a
Mm-hmm.
fireplace sometimes, and you're just taking
Ooh.
it all in.
Okay.
I would just tell any guy in here, please make sure to not have your woman with you when you're listening to chat, because she go walk away and you're just you see me.
She gonna want to know why you don't kiss me on my shoulder.
You understand?
You
The
never
way
give
it
me
was
shoulder
feeling.
kisses.
And then as soon as you hear shoulder kisses, but she knows you don't give her shoulder kisses. Maybe I should give her a
Just
little, a little
a little
something,
peck,
a little
just
something.
a little peck on the shoulder.
But no,
Make that.
that was an amazing piece.
Thank
I do
you.
have a question that I wanted to make sure that I asked though. I
Mm-hmm.
see that you would have spoken about it a bit indirectly when you spoke about penthouse and the three
Mm-hmm.
elements to penthouse. I see that you would have had three sections, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Can
yeah.
you, yeah, can you tell us more about like each section? What does each section represent?
Wow. So I divided the book into three sections after the book was written because it felt like it fell into three sections. It
Mm,
felt like after there's the first section to me that lays the foundation for the people that you're going to meet. Because even though this is a Caribbean story, even though this is a Bajan story, even though this is a love story, an action story, a very familiar diasporic centered story, it's still
yeah,
new. I don't think anyone has ever told this story. This is not a retold story. This is a fresh perspective. And I needed to get people, I wanted to put people into the lives of the characters so that when life unfolded later on in the book, they weren't button about trying to figure out what was happening or where they were. They knew who they were dealing with, and they're like, oh, okay, we're here, and this is this person, and this is how this person is. All right, let me
yeah,
see how this is going to play out. So the first chapter really and truly orients you. It lets you know this world. It's, I guess, world building. That's what people, that's the trendy
yeah,
part. I did
yeah.
some world building. The second chapter, whew, no, the second section, sorry. Um, I guess I demolished your world that I built. And then the third chapter, I reconstruct a different world. Essentially that. I created, destroyed, and reconstructed. Boom. Three
All
different
right.
worlds. So,
Has
yeah.
has an element of God's plan in it. I see. I see.
Uh-huh. There you go.
Yes,
Always,
but
always.
guys, ladies, gentlemen, you need to make sure this is not a joke. I'm not playing no games. When I come on reading room, I don't play games. A little bit in between, but I'm being very serious when I say this. You need to make sure that you get Kingstown Burning. It is a must-have. Now, where can we find this book? I already know that it's on Amazon, so it's on
Yeah.
Amazon. Where else can we find it?
Well, it's everywhere in the world, basically. I mean, if you were even in Australia, you could find it. If you Google, let me start far afield first. Everyone in the world somewhere, if you Google and you say Kingstown Burning, it will pop up and you will see it telling you, oh, it's available at Waterstones in the UK, or it's available at this place in Canada, or this place in Australia. It's even available in Japan, believe it or not. I'm like, okay, I'm flattered. I'm humbled. So Google search, it'll come up. Amazon is the most popular place. Of course, Barnes and Noble. My favorite place, Target. It's on Target. It's Walmart. All those places. But then when you come closer to home, for my Bajan massive, my Barbadian people on the rock, I'm telling you, Cloisters, Days, and Black Rock Books. They all have them. Stop.
And guys, she is a woman of her word. Literally, I made sure to do it while I was on the live with you guys. So I think Kingstown Burning, we have some previews. So we have Rachelle J, Kingstown Burning, Make Your Owns. That was in 2021. We have the whole book, the novel, everything, the Goodreads. I mean, it's amazing.
Everything.
The little everything. So you guys make sure to type it in, and you can find it. We have on Amazon. We have on RachelJGray.com.
That's my
We have
website.
a whole website. I mean,
Yeah.
she's not about she ain't about games, and she does the publishing as well. I'm gonna make sure this is again not a joke. When it is I'm working on my next book, because I have some ideas, I make sure that I'm gonna come to you. I will try to hit up as many publishers as I can when I write to my work though. That's the truth.
Listen,
Right? Of course, check the link in her bio as well too, as RhyMinister said. Yes, you were telling us.
No, it's just like I created LadyGray Publishing, and then all of a sudden, I guess like I wasn't prepared for how many people started to come to me like for advice, and so people are saying, Rachelle, you should do some courses, you should do some classes, you should offer packages. So I actually have to, and I am working on that aspect of it now and putting things in place where I can, when people come to me, I have the ability to consider their work, to look at their work, and even if I can't publish their work, be able to help them figure out how to self-publish on their own as well. And a lot of people don't feel that my book is self-published. They actually are shocked to discover that it's self-published. They're very shocked by it. And I'm like, I think I respect publishing. And
that was me. I was one of those people. Continue.
Oh, I respect publishing. And I really think that, like the same way you spend a lot of time crafting your words, craft the image as well. Don't listen, a cover of a book is very important because you do judge books by covers. So, if the cover popped down, well, that's not going to work. So pop down cover can't sell a book. Come on, let's be real. So really and truly, but then again, if you have a beautiful cover but you don't have a good story, eventually the word will get out as well. So you have, it's like your personality. You got to look good on the outside and you got to be good on the inside as well. So so LadyGray Publishing, eventually the goal is to be able to publish Caribbean work and to publish voices that are not doing the traditional things or sending the traditional messages and to give things. So I plan to publish more books of my own books first and then branch out so that when I reach out to or when I consider someone else's work, I would have enough experience under my belt to say, yeah, I've published 5 books here. I can help you.
No, I definitely love that. And I love the thought process. I love the goal that you have in mind for yourself, the dreams that are continuing to become reality. I love the fact that you would have given your own bit of advice talking about covers are important because without the cover, you're then going to be able to, if the work itself isn't good on the inside, then you got to be able to tie the two together perfectly because it's all about bobbing and weaving, making sure that it meshes together. Sorry, that was something. My mother was a seamstress, so.
Can I tell you? I love. Okay, that's another conversation. We'll have a WhatsApp conversation about seamstress because
Yes.
here is. I love to get my clothes made, and here in Senegal, having your tailor, your seamstress is
Yeah.
very important. You must have a tailor. You can buy clothes that are already made, but you must have a tailor. This outfit has been made by my tailor. Yes, so big up to
Son,
your mom.
preach,
Big up
preach.
to your mom.
Thank you. My mother's a queen, you know. I just call her my black queen, my Nubian queen. I love that woman so much.
Okay, then.
But anyway, before, because I could talk about my mother all day. But what I was going to
That's
tell you
okay.
though,
Mm-hmm.
because honestly, right, the Taylor part is true. You know, I so wish she
Yeah.
was not in Grenada, because she's in Grenada right now, being safe and making sure she does the Lord's work. But I wish she was
Okay.
here because I need some stuff tailored. You feel me? And she got me going to other people, and she did me wrong. She did me wrong there. But no, seriously, what we're going to
Mm-hmm.
manifest for yourself and for every
Mm-hmm.
audience and everybody here is that we're going to manifest the audio book. We're
Yes.
manifesting the book being done in English lit. I promise you, if I had this book in English lit back at Foundation, I would have done it as a CSE. Like I serious. But
I agree.
I shied away from that for sure. But no, your work is amazing. The audio book,
Thank you.
I believe, will be, for me personally, even more successful than your book already is on its own. As you said, it's all over the world, which is an amazing accomplishment, by the way. To
Thank
even have
you.
it in
Thank you
Japan,
very much.
like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
And in the Netherlands and all kind of weird languages, places. I said that. That's
But
horrible English that I did, but yeah.
no, but it's amazing how in this day and age how we're able to have work like that, be
Yes.
able to reach
All
far and
over.
wide, all
Mm-hmm.
over, and to still be able to connect with people reading it. Because I'm
Yeah.
sure that, and this is something that we spoke on a live just last week, that even though you are writing from your story, your experiences, and what you would have witnessed and seen around before,
Mm-hmm.
that even those people reading it from far and wide can still find bits and pieces that may relate to them or resonate with them in their
Mm-hmm.
own life, in their own world, in their own country. So it's amazing
Mm-hmm.
what you've been able to accomplish with
Thank
this
you.
book. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Lady Gray, who has
Thank you.
shared excerpts from her book, Kingstown Burning. Is her debut novel, and she has almost guaranteed that there are going to be many more. She has published it herself, and the work is truly amazing, from the artwork to the words, the literature, and all the storytelling, the sections, every aspect, every bit of it has been truly amazing. I thank everyone for being here to see her on the
Thank
stage.
you for having me.
Eh?
Thank you so
Eh,
much.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. And we will definitely keep in contact for sure. For sure.
Yes.
I will make sure that I put in my mind the 4 hours ahead and everything to make sure you're covered.
No worries. No worries. A blessed good night to everyone. Don't forget the book is available locally in Barbados. And of course, Amazon is always the default go-to. RhyMinister, if you're listening, thank you. Enrico, thank you so much. And
You're very
so nice to
welcome.
see everyone who joined and listened to me. Thank you. I really appreciate the support.